See, because this happened to me, it's not that I don't have any experience in my life. I mean, come on, seriously. It's almost like because I am enlightened, and I will say that, but I don't just walk around saying it to everybody, because I have seen what I've seen and I've experienced many lives. Like, if you could really contemplate that, okay? That's why I'm so confident in the things that I'm talking about, because I know what I'm talking about. When you really know, you have no questions. And I don't have any questions. The only questions I ask are the higher beings out of this density. And nobody that I'll ever meet in my human world will ever know any more than me about it. That's a hard thing to face because people don't want to hear that. Because really intelligent people who read a lot of books want to say, man, I did these theories and I ran these tests and I saw these charts. Those are all people stuff, man. I'll tell you stuff about every chart, every theory, every book, every anything that you want to know. Literally, not before you read it. But I'll just tell you what it really means, just by looking at it for 5 seconds. Maybe sit and make sure that my human ego isn't in the way trying to show you something when you want me to prove it, and I'm just trying to show it, but you're rushing me, or you're expecting more of me than I personally thought I'd have to do at that moment. That does happen when you're not ready to perform at the top of your capability, and someone's like, sprint right now. You're not at the top of capability, or your capability. If you just wake up out of a sleep or something, and someone's like, do a test that requires you to think a lot with your mind. Well, your mind is much more than just the memory you have that you're doing schoolwork and tests with. It's a lot more than that. So, people will tell me that, like, my girlfriend had a bad experience. She was raped and she was blah, blah, blah. And, it happened like 20 years ago and she just can't get it out of her mind and she needs me there to be there for her. Or, a guy was in a traumatic experience. He was, bullied as a kid. He was beat up a lot. And it's 30 years ago. And, 50 years ago, his mom and dad beat this other guy. And, he just never had the chance to talk it out or really go seek help for it. But, you go seek help so that you find a way to help yourself. Because in order for you to have got that help, you had to go there. Even if somebody else set it up and you finally went, even though someone may have set it up on some level, you had to go. Or you had to let in the message. You had to hear it. You had to let it in and be allowed to hear yourself thinking through another. Because sometimes when you realize, I don't know what I'm doing, honestly, be honest with yourself and say, do I know the truth about this subject? And go, who might? And then ask. And when you make that determination, it's because you find somebody who makes more sense talking about a subject that you thought you might have known something about, but they're really opening your eyes to it, like I will. Okay, so somebody was explaining to me that his girlfriend needs him there, and that way he can at least hold her and look her in the eyes and make sure that she's calm. And I'm like, go tell her the door's locked. If the door's locked, the door's locked. This happened when you were way younger and insecure. And don't bring that back now because that's not this moment. Of course, there's no time, but we're not going to say that right now. But that's not this moment. You've lived through more. You've seen that things are okay. Your mind is causing this. What you need to learn how to do is to control your mind. And when you tell that to a guy to say to his girlfriend, he's like, that's a good thing, but she's not going to listen to that because that's the whole point. And the guy won't even say that. He'll just be like, nah, she needs me there. No, she doesn't. She needs to learn how to take care of herself. But then you wouldn't be needed, so you don't want to hear that. Think about it. You don't want your girlfriend to know how to keep herself feeling protected and safe. That's why most girls want a guy, because they want to feel protected and safe. That is a trap. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to say anything rude because the word trap seems like it's a rude thing. It's just taking you away. It's taking you into a trapezoid instead of a perfectly formed square, which we would say is somebody who thinks they know. But at that point, it just means you're even on all 4 sides in time, in the time dimension, in the place dimension. So 4, 5 comes together. Anyway. With all that extra stuff being said, let's get back to the topic. So if you don't seek help and you never take care of the problem and you never face your demons, that's why when 20 years have gone by and someone's like, you need to get over the stuff that's in your mind that keeps you stuck. Of course it comes back more. Of course it seems like a flashback because you're choosing to flash back on it and think about it. To exercise it out of yourself. When you exercise physically, it takes physical movement. It takes physical effort. And you know what happens? You work off some of that body fat because on top of that, your mind, which is the clencher, believed more than that. When you exercise the demons within you, the demands within yourself, the demonstrations of other things that you never took care of, when you exercise those kind of demons, that kind of exercise, you actually have to take time to put in the effort and to put in the actual mental work and work on your spiritual body. You have to do it. You use your mental effort to improve your physical body. So now you have to use your true being, your true consciousness, your being that isn't ego, your spiritual. And use that knowledge to work on your mental body. You can use your mental body to work on your mental body in that way. But if you want to go a little higher, realize that you aren't just any title. You aren't words, so you can't be your name. You've never been words. Words are man-made. You're not. I mean, you may have had two people who made you, but they weren't man-made. They were God-made. Let's put it that way. And because they're God. They're part of the one. Everything is. But when it gets down to density, some things live a little different. Some things are acceptably living differently because they aren't at our capacity of thinking level. But just because they aren't doesn't mean that they need to be killed or slaughtered or taken away or hurt or harmed. There was a time and is a time where all creatures live in peace, and they only feed, if they have to, off of plants. And that's okay because they repropagate those plants. It's an agreement that nature has. Basically, if I eat you or use you, I'm going to keep propagating you by spreading your seeds, by spreading your pollen, by something. And we see that in nature. There are gardeners who are doing that, and they live a little longer now because when you grow your own food and take care of it, you don't just do it because, gotta have this, just be wasteful about it. Like, you can't just waste your plants, too. You're not just supposed to waste plants. Eventually, you want to get to the point where you're living off of mind, water, and light. Those will be things that you actually can do. I've done it. I haven't done it as Dan. I've done it for a really long time as Dan. From time to time, I'll fast for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and it's nothing. I'm not hungry. But then I get around people who think I should be eating, and then secondary belief system gets into my primary belief system, and I think I should eat something so that they don't worry about me. And then I eat something, and I'm like, that's good flavor. Ooh, I like that. And it goes back into me having to battle off a personal issue. Like, I know better, but I don't want to be alone. I want to join my family at dinner, and my mom will purposely make something with me in mind. So how am I supposed to say, no, I'm not going to eat it even though you made it for me? I feel like a dick doing that. So I don't. And I eat it instead of being honest and saying, I don't need that, and you don't need to eat that either. 3 times a day, no one needs to eat like that. You think that way? You're silly. But then, just to prove something or to show something instead of the word prove, because it's just showing you that you know that you don't have to eat 3 meals a day. Some people never do that. You know that you don't have to eat every day because people fast for a long period of time, and you know that. You don't even have to eat for a week because people have fasted for over a week, and you know that. What kept them alive then? Not just the food that was left over in their body, the energy, the light forms, the water that was in those things. Do you know when bugs drop their carcasses or their insects or their larvae or their plant DNA or their animal DNA onto a dead body, like flies with maggots and mosquitoes with their babies? They're actually sucking up the water out of the being. They're returning your body back to its original form, which is spiritual, and they're taking your body pieces, the material that was here in the world, and turning it back into something else. So they're dropping their babies off, they're sucking the water out of your body, and they're becoming flies or bugs, and they're flying around, and they're distributing themselves to get eaten by the next thing, then by the next thing, then by the next thing. But they don't have to be that way. And a lot of times flies just disappear. You don't always see them, and you never will see them all, because flies are part of the cleanup crew. So are mosquitoes. So are many, many insects. A lot of them aren't, but most are. Most insects and a lot of scavenger animals, meat-eating animals, are the cleanup animals. That's why they eat meat. Not because now they got more ferocious, because instead, just like people, animals don't need to eat as much as they do. But because they eat things, the other ones that were alive, seeing them eating their dead ones, got scared. Because at one point, we were light beings who never had to live as animals. We got punished in one time to be animals. But before we got punished as animals, we got to live as those animals for a long time, understanding peace and how peace would have been to those animals until they started eating each other. I've been to those planets. I've been to those planets. Real things that have happened in my experience that other people don't even understand what they're talking about. Planet is the male form of planet. Planet was always there. Planets are still there. They are what put planet in shape. They are the space, the mother of the planets. Planet is the giant, what people would figure as a universe or a galaxy, but we would think that there's one universe with all these planets in it. Nope, there's one planet with all of these planets in it. All the other planets are in other planets. And you don't see those because those are the dark and the light that the sky is without having anything in it. That's mother. That's the big term mother. But people won't get that either. So I'm not going to worry about saying all that stuff until people start wanting to know. And if they want to know, they'll already know, especially if they can conceptualize what I'm saying. So anyway, there was times when animals could actually live on light and water. Substance is all we needed. And plants were something that sort of went between matter and water and became solid so that we could actually eat with color. So it wasn't just all dim and drab, because at one point we were light beings and everything was beautiful, magnificent color. And in order to come into the dark, to make it light, we had to work through all the dark shades and all the dark colors and all of the dark pasts, all the dark ages, all of the dark. Think about it. I'm not just saying it because I'm trying to play with words. I've done this billions of times. I've been planets. I've been planets, but I haven't said that before because nobody understands what I mean by planet, and they might now. We have a cigar and we have a cigarette. Cigarette is smaller than a cigar. Cigar is masculine, cigarette is feminine. Honestly. And then at the same time, a planet is the feminine that you don't see. The mother you do see in the world does create children that come from somewhere you don't see inside her also. So we have Mother Earth, which we are all on this planet Earth are part of Mother Earth. On a bigger level, we're part of that energy that is Earth itself, that is what you hear plus what is here, what you listen to and feel inside yourself. Ear plus H, here. Ear plus here, Earth. But people don't want to get it because it's too scary to really realize that you have been doing this billions of times. So whether you never thought that there was a such thing as God, or wherever you never thought there was reincarnation, you never thought there was stuff like that, I'm sorry. But now everything you've ever needed to know is right here for you. You just have to be brave enough to listen.